Hello and welcome back to the channel. Last week I did two videos previewing Historic's Classic Car Auction which took place on Saturday. This is the follow-up video and we're going to look at the sale results. Now I didn't catch any of the sale on Saturday, so I don't know what the results are either. You're going to find out as I find out, and I'll make comments as we go along. So let's have a look and see what the results were. Right, the 1990 Jaguar Sovereign. That was offered without reserve. So it sold for £4,118. Yeah, I think that seems a fair price. It was a one owner from new, from what I recall, 37,000 miles, and it was a fairly sound basis. I think there's enough in there left to allow you a bit of room to put a few things right and bring it up to standard, and you should still end up with a very nice car for not too much money, and you shouldn't be too far out of pocket, I wouldn't think. So as we know, it's 37,000 miles. Now, how do you tell the difference between a 3.6 Jaguar and a 4-litre Jaguar? At a glance, well, the 4-litre Sovereign has the chrome strip around the backlights. The 3.6 didn't. Of course, gone with the metric wheels, which were on the 3.6. So that's a positive. That rear valance looks in nice condition, which is good to see. That rear lower panel looks good and sound, as does that lip there, which are all good indicators. Looking around the wheel arch there, that looks fairly good and sound, and you can still see the impressions of the spot welds. These can be terrible for rusting. Boot lids as well. Yeah, that looks a good sound car. Let's see if we can catch any more. So yeah, bit of remedial work there just to put that, but that's nothing. But yeah, and you can see there it's got some blistering on the bonnet. So for it to be right, you'd want to get that sorted out, replaced, whatever. And I think there'd be enough money in the budget left to bring it up to standard. So again, it all looks fairly sound around there. There doesn't look any issues. I mean, they looks nice and crisp, as does the sills, particularly that lower lip. That looks good. Yeah, not too bad there. Again, you can see this to me is one of the better XJ40s. There's a lot of rubbish out there, but this was a good sound basis. One owner, as I say, 37,000 miles. And for £4,000, I think that's a reasonable buy. And as I said, with the little bit left over, 1,500 quid, would bring it to about the right sort of price, I would say. And you should have a very nice car. You can see how good that lip is along there as well. So I think with another 1,500 quid spent on it, I think you would have a very nice car. And I don't think you'll lose too much on that. But yeah, don't think that's a bad result. But let me know what you think. Don't have to agree with me. I don't have to agree with you. Right. Oh yes, that BMW Z3, that was 55,000 miles, that one, 4290. The Jaguar Kestrel there, £2,288. It's cheap, isn't it? Yeah, we know that people don't want older cars like that anymore, but it's a lot of car for the money, isn't it, really? It's such a shame, because it looks a nice little thing. Let's have a quick glance. Got to have a look. It's a lovely looking little thing, the condition of it. Yeah, you've got to feel sorry for the owners, really, haven't you? That's the older car market nowadays, isn't it? A little midget there, 6'8", 6'4". That's too bad. Yeah. Again, another older car sold for 3,146. Yeah, coppers, isn't it? So the Javelin, let's have a look at the Javelin. 4,500. They still seem to be quite popular with people, the Javelins. Now that Stag's made decent money. 10,296. What was the mileage on that? 82,000. Being rebuilt, runs well. Noted the mileage covered on the engine since rebuilt, approximately 250. Yeah, that looks like a decent buy, that. It's sort of like middle of the road. It's not too expensive. It's not too cheap. Um, the engine rebuild won't have been cheap. The DB9 now, £11,440. Blind. 52,000 miles, that's nothing. It's nothing. They should be good for a lot more. Pretty cars. Unbelievable value. That is a bargain, as far as I'm concerned. Now, the Tahiti Blue Chime Stag sold for 15,000. That is a good result, but what's 52,900? Looks a bonny thing. Looks very nice. Yeah. If it's as good as the pictures look, then yeah, it looks as though you can understand why it's achieved the price it has. I can see why that one has attracted the price it has, and that's a good price in today's market. Some obviously was keen to get that one. 29,000, the MG. C. Blimey. Seems expensive to me, that. Yeah, I know MGCs seem to do quite well. But there was that one on Bangers and Cash the other day, 5,000 miles from new, a 69, and it was a Roadster, all original. And even though they spent 10,000 on it, they paid 21,000, so they got 31 in. They still only sold it for 21. And there can be a strange market, the MGC. You get good results, you can get bad results. It's nothing but restored. Yeah, okay, yeah, I can understand that's why somebody's gone for that. I can't say that one doesn't really appeal to me very much. The colour doesn't do a lot for me. I don't think it suits the car personally. Obviously, there's lots of people who do like British Racing Green. To me, that doesn't do anything for me. Primrose, yep. Tartan Red, yep. No, I don't think so for me. Mercedes SL doesn't appear to have sold. The Porsche 911 Carrera Targa there, 45,760. Yeah, so prices for them are holding up well. So that's a pretty decent result, I think. Blimey. The Vanquish, 34,000. I think that's a real bargain. I really do. And it hasn't surprised me it's sold as cheap as it has in one respect, because they're absolute giveaways at the moment. Now, this one had the benefit of having the upgraded to the S specification. It had everything you wanted. That is absolutely dirt cheap. Yeah, since the downturn in the market, prices have really dropped. I mean, you wouldn't have believed you could have got one below £50,000 until not so long ago. And now the 40,000 is about what they tend to be looking at. I thought it might do about 39 because of the S specification, and it looks a pretty nice car. It's not long after seeing this one, I saw that Justin Banks in Kent has one for sale. I think it's a 2002. It's got 96,000 miles on the clock. Yeah, massive mileage, but it's been very well maintained, and it's for sale for like, I think it's 27,000, 28,000 pound. Absolutely unbelievable. It's the cheapest you'll ever get. You're never going to get them cheaper. And if you ever wanted one, now's the time to buy one. I think somebody's got a real bargain there. I really do. So that's failed. Looks as though that's failed to sell yet, as has the Insert GT. Another DB9, 14,300. 23,000 for an XK140 fixed head. Wow, that seems cheap. That seems very cheap to me. Let's have a quick glance. Rather smart, actually. Looks very nice. I think somebody's got a bargain there. And I'm sure the Walk advert didn't have anything to do with it, as to the plunging Jaguar prices. A Dolomite Sprint, £20,592. Well, yeah, that doesn't surprise me too much, because I know that good Dolomites seem to attract good money. You know, I thought maybe it was about 18,000, which I think what the reserve was at. And for a very good Dolomite, it's amazing. Again, Dolomites, lots of people love them. They're okay. I've never really seen the appeal of them, even when they were much younger. They were okay. Don't get me wrong. Maybe I'd have had one, but I don't know. There was just something about it. Maybe they were just too compacted to look quite right or appealing to me. And if you were going to have one, then it'd have to be the Dolomite. But yeah, no, each to his own. The GTC there, 20,000. Yeah, it's there's a few cheap ones of them. Oh, the Virage has sold, but they don't tell us how much for. 37,000 miles now. The Virages, they're not the most popular of the Aston Martins, are they? It's 90s styling, isn't it? And I can't say that they're particularly one that ever really appealed to me. The model before, loved them. The model since, after that one, um, loved them. But that one, it was a strange one. Unless it was a V550 or a V600, what's the Camaro had. Oh, the Camaro's doesn't appear to have sold yet. The Alfa Romeo Spider 11440, that's about right. Yeah, that's what you could expect. It's a right-hand drive converted from new by Bell and Colville. So right colour, right model, nice car. The Mexico sold, but how much for we don't know. The Rapide, 29,000. That's Healy. So the Healy hasn't even sold at that estimate. Wow, blimey, why? I know that Healy's can fetch ridiculous money, or they were. But like everything else, I think everything's suffering a little bit. Obviously, I'm basing it just on the pictures, so whether or not somebody knew something that I don't, but it looks all right to me. I mean, even at that lowest reserve, that surely there'd be enough money left in the budget. I spend another 20,000 on its lowest reserve, and you'd have been still entering the starting price category as it was. I can't believe that's not so because they are popular. I do quite like them actually. I've always liked them. Buy the Edsel there, 8,580. I think that's a good buy. If you want to get into the American car market, yeah. Might not be for everybody, but I think that's a cheap American, that. The Interceptor there, 28,000. I think that's cheap. I recall seeing this car, I think it's about a year ago. I think it had a private number plate on at the time, for sale with a trader. And I think the price was, well, it was over 50,000. Now, that Rolls-Royce Silver Spirit, that had 37,000 miles on the clock, if memory serves me right. 34. Ah, there we go. Let's have a look. Looks fairly smart. You have to watch out around the door handles that corrode, and they can along door tops they can corrode, as well as around the rear windows and below the rear quarters and the wheel arches and the front wheel arches. Well, they can corrode in quite a lot of places. This looked a nice example, so I can understand why somebody's been willing to pay 14,000 for it. Looks lovely wood. Yeah, that seems a reasonable price for seller and buyer. I think, spend less and you could end up with a right pile of crap and an expensive crap to put right. Spend a little bit more, get a better car. It'll pay you and serve you well in the future. Always buy the best you can afford to buy. Costs a lot more to put something right than it does to buy a good one. That Continental GTC, 18,000, that's good value. I personally think that's excellent value for money. What's the mileage on it? 57,000. It's nothing. That is value for money. It's the right colour. It looks right. Very smart. Yeah. Very nice car. I think that's somebody's got a bargain with that one as well. An XK150 failed to sell. So, interesting to note that's two Jaguars XK140 and 150 not sold. Now, look at that. That's achieved a good price. But again, I'm not surprised because there are certain models that are collector's vehicles, and this one is one of them because it's the SL60 6-litre AMG. There were limited numbers built. 55, there's 38,000 miles, 55,484. They've achieved a very good price for that. I think the last one I saw sold for a similar sort of price. Only 49 right-hand drive examples produced. Yeah, I knew they were low. I think personally, I would have gone for one of the cheaper ones. Same sort of, the same design, only I'd go for one of the cheaper ones that you could pick up for about 6 or 7 thousand. The Aston Martin DB7, 11,440. Yeah, that's not too bad considering the DB9 sold for 11,000. And we know that the one at East Anglia sold the other week for 8,800, I think it was. There's still one to come up at Matthewson's yet. But this one, again, it was a one owner from new, excellent service history, 57,000 miles. So yeah, I think that's a very good price, really. All things said, I think that is an excellent price as a buyer. On the basis of, yes, you can buy cheaper, but can you buy one that's not going to give you any troubles? I think with that one, it had an excellent service history. It's been one owner. So you've got the provenance of knowing that the owner has been able to afford to look after it and it's received the attention. And it's a very nice looking car. And I think that's a good, sensible buy. And I would have been happy to buy that at that price. The Alfa Romeo GT 1300 Junior. The Pagoda, blimey, 100,000. And I know they're popular, don't get me wrong. But that's still strong money in today's market. Still very strong money in today's market. Another GTC there, failed to find a buyer, this one. Pretty colour. Again, another nice colour combination. Wonder what the mileage was on that one. 96. Yeah. Yeah. In some respects, yeah, I'm not too surprised that the Asika hasn't sold. Not saying it wasn't worth the money, but at the moment, they don't seem to be in favour with people. Not to the value of what the owners, I think, want to achieve. And I'm sure what the owners want for them, they really should be worth that. But the market decides, I suppose, like it or not. So the Pagoda there, another one, left-hand drive, doesn't appear to have sold. So let's see what else there is. The M635 there for 32,000. Yeah, that's not too much of a surprise. I'd say that's about right for price. 114,000 miles. Yeah, because it's the M, isn't it? But even so, good ones of these, even if they're not the M, still attracting good money. Who knows where they're going to end up? Are they going to be like the 3-litre CSIs long run? Who knows? You pays your money, you takes your chance. And really, the moral of the tale is don't buy something that you're not prepared to be stuck with. If you're happy with the price, that's all that matters. Don't expect to make money out of a classic car. Buy it because you like it, not because you think it'll make you money. That's the theory behind it all. And at least if you get stuck with it, well, at least you can enjoy it. And you're not too disappointed in the end when it doesn't go up in value. And if it goes up in value, you've got a bonus. The FF sold for 56,000. Yeah, it's about right. Again, it's difficult to predict with the market today, the way things are. But like most things, vehicles go down in value. They get to a point where They never used to go any lower, and then they'd go back up, and you'd start to make money out of them, and they'd hit a sweet spot. That possibly is at one of those sweet spots. But the way the market is at the moment, you just never know. It could fall even more yet. As I say, pays your money, takes your chance. Now, the Mulliner R there, the Continental R, sold for 47,000, which I think was about bang on estimate, the lower estimate. So I think they've got a pretty good result for that. But again, as I said, there's only 148 made. Yeah, that's a pretty decent price. I think from a seller and a buyer, I think it's a reasonable compromise. Of course, the seller, I think, has probably lost out a lot more because, if I recall, I said he'd spent £12,000 on a repaint recently, and it had been serviced by Ian Tyrrell Classics, I think, in October. So there's been money spent on it. So yeah, the buyers come out winning. 33,000 for the Porsche 924 Turbo, and that's a good price. They've achieved a good price for that, in my opinion. There's still a Porsche market, it would appear. The Model T there, 13,000, and yet you can't sell it. You're struggling to sell a Raleigh Kestrel for 3,000. Sorry, 2,200, but you can get 13,000 for a Model T, and they made loads of them. Mini Cooper there, 29,000. GT6, 10,000. Yeah, it's about bang on price. The Volante there, don't tell us how much that's sold for. The Roadster there, the E-Type, none appear to have sold yet. The Testarossa, 137. Yeah, yeah, that's a decent return. Yeah. Now the Bentley Turbo R there, 17,106. I think somebody got a bargain with that. Again, yes, we know you can get cheaper ones. There are lots of cheaper ones out there, but to me, this was a little bit extra special. I think it was worth its money. 63,000 miles to start with. Nothing. Absolutely nothing. And it's got the Mulliner vents in the side. It's a Mulliner adaptations have been fitted to this. It's got a body kit on it. And you'll see wood steering wheel. Oh, yes, it's lovely, isn't it? Not keen on the red fans behind the grille. I think I'd have to change them to black. It spoils the front end. That looks a very nice car. And you've got the added extra wood panels fitted. These were non-standard. So they'll have come as part of the Mulliner package, no doubt. That woodwork looks lovely. I like them with the Turbo R vents. And I think this is the long wheelbase one, which to me, that's what you want. You want a little bit extra legroom in the back. That is a very nice car. That is a bargain. Absolute bargain. I would say, if it's as good as that looks, that's worth every single penny, and I would happily have bought that at that price. I think that's worth more, personally. In the trade, it'll be probably about 26 to 29, I would think. But what do I know? I know now. So yes, the two-door Continental has failed to get a buyer, which is a shame. I think it has the makings of being a very nice car. 88,000 for the Alpine Le Mans. Yeah, well, it was ex-works, wasn't it? So that's another thing. It's got all the history. The Elvis, the drophead Elvis, fully restored, matching numbers. At one time, a few years ago, they became very popular. I think partly because there was an ITV program called Kingdom, I think, with Stephen Fry. He was a lawyer in Norfolk, I think. A solicitor in Norfolk. And he drove around in one, which increased the popularity a little bit. And the prices went up. And that estimate didn't seem unreasonable. So it's surprised that they're struggling. Because lovely cars, the Elvis. The Austin 7 Swallow Saloon, £12,000. Yeah, I think they tend to say that the Austin 7s are still one that people still seem to favour. They don't all get big money, of course. Let's look at page 2. The WO registration hasn't got a buyer. Yeah, I think I could spend £95,000 a bit better than on a number plate, personally. So the fintail there, or the heck floss, £6,006. I think that's a good price, personally. As a buyer, I think that's a good price. And I can't say I'm a lover of that particular design, personally. I never have been. I always thought they're a bit on the ugly side. But I can appreciate what they are and the build quality. And I still think that that's good value for money, personally. Now, the 76 Escort Mark II RS 2000, 29,000. So that's achieved a good price. I think it was estimated about 18 to 20, I think, if memory serves me right. So, of course, it's an Escort, isn't it? And it's an RS 2000, done up as it is. So it's going to, you would expect it to achieve a decent price. But even some of those prices appear to have been dropping back recently. I still think there's a lot of people going to get their fingers burned. With all the high values on Cosworths and some of the Escorts and some of the fast Fords. Again, generational things will take a turn, I'm sure, and they won't find themselves necessarily in favour with people as perhaps the particular generation at the moment. But who knows? I could be wrong. Prediction of the market is a very difficult one. And if you knew that, you'd be a millionaire, wouldn't you? Yeah, the XGS would appear as though it's still to find a buyer. Again, different day, different audience, could be different altogether. And it all depends who's in the sale room on the day, doesn't it? California there. And doesn't appear to have got a buyer yet. The Lotus Elise, it's not got a buyer. That Porsche 914, £3,432. I don't know how good it was, but that's cheap, isn't it? Even if it's a pile of rubbish. Now the Audi TT looks as though it's still to find a buyer. So the Range Rover, again, that doesn't look to have got a buyer yet. The GT6 there hasn't told us how much that's sold for. That BMW motorbike there, the 1000 RR Tyco Limited Edition, one of 15 UK supplied, 18,304. 8 miles. Right. I don't understand why that's achieved the price it has. That doesn't surprise me too much. 22,000 for that 325 convertible, one owner from you. That's good money they've achieved for 82,000 miles. They've achieved a good price for that. And that model of 3 Series are very popular, as we know. The Ford Focus RS, 19,734. Well, that seems a good price. Very cheap as things go for 52,000 miles. Yeah, I think that's a reasonable price, I think. So the Range Rover sold for 17,160. Yeah, well, it was one of the better examples out there. 16,000 for the XKR. So somebody obviously recognised the benefits of that. And I'm going to say, let's just dream a little. Out of the sale, money no object. Which one would you have gone for? Which ones do you think were the real bargains of the day? Which ones appeal to you most? I'd be interested to know. And I'm going to pick out my selection of what I think, personally, looking at these results, that I think were the best results. I think my star of the show, the Bentley Turbo R, I think that was a bit of a bargain. I think that was a reasonable price, and I think um, whoever bought that, I think that was a reasonable price. Don't think it was too expensive, and I don't think it was too cheap. I think it was just about right, and it looks in the right condition. So I'd have opted for that. I think that's, to me, that's the bargain of the day. So which one would you have chosen? You let me know. Let me know what you think. Right, so I'm going to say thanks for watching. I hope you've enjoyed it, and until next time, take care.